to ask or whatever, then raise a hand and we will come to you as soon as we can. We'll do the first few questions. When you started out to make this, did you have kind of things in mind? You think, oh, it would be good if we could make a low-budget American indie type film, or the thing that comes up is Bill Forsyth, maybe from that sinking feeling era, where you just go out and make something and get on with it. Are there role models in your head?
I mean, I've got influences, and there's directors I love, and there's movies I love, but the whole notion of just going out and making it was something that we really wanted to do, because it's nobody's going to come and give you anything to tell you, hey, I mean, we've done well with our short films, and the ones that seem to really work were the sort of romantic comedy ones, and those were the ones that seemed to really like. And my fiancée will tell you that I'm the most unromantic person that she's done it.
I think that film would say otherwise, but there you go.
Don't tell her that.
So how did you start? How did you? What was your first idea, or what was the first notion?
What happened was Tyler had sent me a little piece of music for an art film we'd made, and these images, just sort of like images and stuff would come in your head. And unfortunately, I'd lost my grandfather on my mother's side just before I was making short films, and of course, me and my grandfather never had that kind of relationship, a special relationship. We just had a normal relationship that I would have with my grandparents. And but it was just this piece of music just seemed to just really resonate with me. And I was out in New York for a festival, and I just come back, and I'd won Best Director out there, and Tyler and Andrew, my producer, came to meet me after the airport, and we sat down and I said, look, I've got an idea for a feature film. So I've got a boy in a care home, and started talking about the characters, and the two of them were on board, and I phoned my other producer, Lauren Lamar, and she was totally behind me, and yeah, we just started from there.
It's been that simple from there to here.
That's exactly.
Yeah,
no problems.
And did you know the kind of budget area that you'd be working in, i.e. next to nothing?
Well, we knew that we always knew that there was always going to be a task to raise such a large budget. So when we wrote the script, we budgeted it out, and we looked at it, and we started to look at places, where could we reduce costs, and what could we do, and we sort of had a rough figure of how much it would cost to get in the can, when we thought post-production will take areas. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything.
The biggest lie I was ever told.
I don't know if you noticed that Tyler done pretty much like 90% of the music. And there was, I think there's only 4 tracks that he didn't have, that didn't touch, that came from elsewhere. But one of the ways they cut down in our post-production was my mum's got a walk-in wardrobe, so we just put up all this foam, and I just booted them in it and went, play music. I'd open it up every now and then and go, I like that, but just make it a bit more twinkly and belly.
Can you make it less? That was one of my favourite directions.
He played something on the piano, and I was like, oh, that bit, that meh. I was like, I like that meh. Oh, okay, I'm the meh. He's like, I'll get you the meh.
Alan Collins, I have a confession. Last night, until you opened your mouth, I didn't know that you were American. And I was left with the impression that is the best Scottish accent I've ever seen in a film, or you were a Scots guy doing an amazing American accent. I couldn't work out right.
Nobody knows.
Easy for you to do? So many people have fallen on their swords doing such a thing.
Well, totally. One of the reasons I came over here was because I quite like accents, and Scottish is quite an interesting one, and it is really hard. It took me a good couple of years to learn it, but I've been living in Glasgow, and that's kind of baptism by fire. The first step is learning how to understand the accent. When I came over, it was like, oh, it's fine, they speak English. not really. Not what I was familiar with. But yeah, it took me some time to learn. But I had some cool teachers and being around. I mean, having him as best pal, he was like, honey, oh.
And she was like that, like that. Like some lights in like that. Totally.
Are you doing a stand-up tour to
Totally. I'm gonna take this show on the road.
Lucy Jane, how did you cope with these two?
Oh my god, I lived with them as well, but like the whole thing. John's parents very kindly put me up and looked after me, and so we were all together the whole process, day and night, and which was really helpful because we got to go home and go over lines and work scenes through for the next day. But oh my god, like they just like the guys will recite like the same thing every day. They kept on saying to me, I was like, school in summertime. What does that even mean? Like every day.
It's a bit from South Park that really, really tickled me and John at the time.
And we would cry with laughter every single time we go home. We were so tired, we'd be like, you like school in summertime.
But no, they're a right laugh. I couldn't work with two nicer blokes, honestly. Everyone was so lovely to me. So yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, school in summertime, don't know what that means, but yeah, apart from that, they're ace.
Anybody want to ask anything, make an observation? Yes, sir.
What happened to Wendy during the deep sea world?
Oh, Mrs. Wilson.
You must have some idea in your head.
Oh, totally. No, I mean, we had a couple of ideas that we were like, look at what happened. But I mean, we always wanted to leave it up to the audience's perception of, it's up to you in your own heads what happened to her. I mean, I like to think it was an octopus, but, you just want to go starfish or dolphin, that's fine.
Maybe a spin-off story.
Wendy and Deep Sea, what was it, Mrs. Wilson's Deep Sea World Adventure?
Yeah.
That's next.
They made a Jaws sequel, so Anybody else? Please, we can't see.
What were all the different filming locations? Whereabouts in Scotland did you film?
I mean, we filmed all over. Some of it was shot in Falkirk, some of it was shot in Alloa. The care home scene was all shot in Coatbridge. I'm from Coatbridge, and I was like, yes, I'll bring a movie to Coatbridge on the map. We filmed in the Gorbals as well, the Skills Academy, and there was an eco house there, and we shot all the interiors in there. The school was like in Burnside, and that was Loch Lomond. We were pretending it was Loch Ness. I'm sure all you keen-eyed surveyors out there went, that's not Loch Ness. There's no monster in that one. But trickery of film, smoke and mirrors. But yeah, we would have loved to went like that far up. We'd done like some recce's and stuff, but it would have, just to transport everybody up and get the time of shooting and stuff. It would be really long days, so we wouldn't be able to do it. But Loch Lomond, which is like, an hour down the road, 45 minutes away, perfect for us.
When you started to fundraise, how easy was that, and how quickly did money start to come in?
Well, the
Because
crowd.
presumably, there's a lot of competition out there. So.
No, of course. I mean, the crowdfunding was one of the hardest but most amazing experiences. Like people just rallied round us and sort of like just it was so humbling because it was at one point there was all this money just coming in, and of course, and there's the wee lull that you have, and like I think we had $4,000 to make, or just under $4,000 in 4 days. So we launched like a.
We said we're like, at least we're not going to release some crazy perk at the last minute to try and boost the sales. 5 of your British pounds, you can name a chicken.
My mum's got all these like ex-party hens, so we were like, right, here we go, and it went like so quickly, and we made all the money and some.
That was amazing. That was really, really cool. We just got loads of support from friends and family and people that we hadn't even met. People who had seen our stuff and were like, yeah, I'll put some money towards that. But we really wouldn't have been able to do it without that. That's why we always clap at the end of the credits when it's like Indiegogo contributors.
What would you have done differently if you'd had more money?
I don't think I would have wanted to shoot this way any more money. I mean, there's been of course of places that would have been great to do those things, but see the experience for a first-time filmmaker to go in there with nothing, or well, you know, not nothing, but you know, a low budget, and to be able to right, this is and start to put a wee bit of a producer's head on, because of course you've got to, you know, for me, I want to be able to understand, you know, the whole production. One of the reasons of doing my first feature and doing it in this way was that I would first-hand have all this experience. It's just so that I can carry on for the next one. Like, I wouldn't change anything on the shoot either. Like, the shoot was the best. Like, we shot it in 16 days. That was all shot in 16 days over Commonwealth Games. So that was a bit tricky, but it was the best shoot I've ever been on in my life. Like, I had the most fun. We all had fun, I think. I'll say that. And it was past as well. You know, it was just awesome. You know, I got to go and work with my best mate every day. It was brilliant, you know. We're an awesome cast and an awesome crew. And I walked away from it. I remember on the last day, I turned to him and I went, I'm happy. And I was freaking out because I'm going, what have I done wrong? Like, there must be something in there I've done wrong. I was just so happy. And as I said, like even with the financial constraints, it meant that we could, you know, we had to make other contacts. We had to, you know, be good at pitching to folk and talking to people and, you know, trying to charm them and let us into things for free or give us stuff for nothing or next to nothing. And that, as I said, really helped us and helped build our confidence as well. So, I mean, of course, it would be amazing for somebody to give me, you know, another, you know, $100 grand, another 50 grand or something. But I think having all that experience is, you know, we can't ask for anything else than that.
I'm sure you must have been confident that it would connect with a local audience and a Scottish audience, but are you surprised that it's travelling the world now? And obviously you went to Australia and won prizes.
I mean, we're always. Do you know? It's actually I was more worried about this screening than I have elsewhere because, you know, using my hometown. You know, this is my hometown law. I don't want to disappoint these. You know, I don't want these to come to the cinema and be like, that was crap. What would you do? We gave you money, trusted you. But when I went out to Australia, you know, my fiance, her two sisters were out travelling at the time, so they got to go and they were like like when the awards were going on, they were like, what's happening? And they were coming through, and when we won the best film out there, it was just. We were dancing about the kitchen. Me and my fiance were babysitting, doing like, the morning, we were like dancing about the kitchen. These wains are going to sprang with it. And you know, I mean, that was incredible. And we went out to Germany. Me and Lucy J went out to Germany, and the reaction we got out there was brilliant. You know, you just don't expect. You're always wondering, are people going to get this? You know, or is it going to work? But I mean, they love Miss Thompson. The Germans. I know, totally. But in America, it's doing very well. Like, we're getting such good praise over there. So that's awesome because that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to tell a story with our shorts. They travelled really well, and we wanted to make sure that, you know, this would do the same thing. We tried not to put in too much, you know, like Scottish dialect, and we didn't purposely do that, but we were trying to just make sure that it was going to be understandable.
Just wanted to be universal.
Yeah, exactly.
That was,
and you know, and it seems to be going that way. I don't want to speak too soon, but it's doing well.
Yes, sir.
This is for the three of you. What was your most challenging scene? What was your most challenging scene that you all done? And what was your most fun scene to do? And please tell me you have a gag reel to the camera.
The most challenging scene, or the one that I remember to be the most challenging scene, was the scene where Tyler had to actually drive, and there is only one scene where Tyler actually drive. And then you've got to give it to the guy. He's remembering his lines is doing a Scottish accent, and he's driving a massive van.
With the camera mounted to the front.
Yeah, for the first time, with 3 senior actors in the back as well. So it was a huge responsibility, and we have an amazing gag reel that John hasn't released yet. But it's basically Tyler trying to drive this van, and it's just he's stolen like everything, and it's just so funny. It was the funniest thing I've ever experienced. I'm sorry, Tyler.
Is this being used as blackmail to fund the next one?
Totally.
We got there in the end. We just about. It was. You just hear John going, right. That's it. Now the clutch.
That scene, John's behind me with a monitor, and he's going, okay, let's take the brake off, make sure it's in neutral. Okay, great, and stall. Okay, let's try this again. Handbrake off. I can't get the handbrake. I can't just press the button. I can't get the handbrake. It's not. Pull it up. Richard's like, pull it up. I'm like, damn. John pops out. She goes, okay, great. There we go. This is great. Having a fantastic time. Then I finally get it going, and it's like, oh, okay, this engine sounds super angry. Let's get it in a second. Okay, and stall.
Just stay first. Just stay first, Tyler.
To be fair, though, that actually, thinking about it, that wasn't actually the most difficult scene for me, concentration-wise. Oh, no, not like acting-wise, but actually, there was one really tricky scene to shoot, which was the dance scene. Where, because it was the way we lit it and how much we could actually show, and we didn't have that many extras. So we were kind of trying to fill out the space with that. So I'm sitting there doing lines, also focusing on the fact that there's 2 cameras over here. I need to also be seen, make sure that she's seen by this camera while we're spinning, and making sure that everybody's got wires that they're dealing with, making sure the sound's cozy and comfortable. I think that was a big thing for me. Like, this has been an amazing first feature film to be working on, because I was so heavily involved in it, and gave a lot to it in spirit and in form, and we really did have a great team. Like, it was really fantastic, and couldn't ask for a better first feature.
Is the gag reel for the DVD extras at some point?
No, we were going to launch it for to help promote the festival, and it was just one of those ones where we didn't put it out too early, and just sort of it wouldn't be like the best for the use. So we thought we'll hang off on it and wait and see the way it is, because it's very funny.
Anybody? Any last questions? Anybody that didn't get a chance?
I was just going to ask, obviously, I've seen a few of your short films that you've put together, and also there's a comedy aspect in all of them, but they are all so different again. So I was just to ask basically how obviously you told us how you come up with that idea, but how do you keep them so varied so that it doesn't feel repetitive for you as well?
He's just awesome. He phones me up at 2 in the morning and he's like, I've got a new idea. I'm like, okay, what is it? Go for it.
You'll be like sleeping the phone.
Totally, but it is always nice, simple storytelling. I think that's what John does well. There's simple storytelling, and you can use so many different set pieces. You can use so many different devices to tell these stories, but keeping it simple, and you keep it simple, and then you don't need as much money as well. You sit and go, this is about the characters. This is about storytelling, and I think that's one thing that John does very well.
I'm a big fan of like all genres of films as well, so like with the shorts, we will always want to play about with them and try out something different, because trying to find, people say comedy is some of the hardest things to write, and I'm always wanting to try a different approach, or look at trying something different. So just trying like different genres of comedy, to see what works best for us. And as again, even with the shorts, it was still us testing the water, what worked for us and worked well. And that was, as I say, one of the reasons why we decided, let's go down the romantic comedy route, and the indie kind of film. I mean, it's a bit of a coming of age film as well. It's got little elements, and it's got little elements from all the shorts as well. As I said, we just wanted to use them as a learning experience, just like making this was a massive learning experience as well.
Last question, anyone?
You raised £10,000 on Indiegogo, isn't it? Could you put a final figure on what you reckon
If you go into Company's House, you can see how much of a loss we've made this year, so that's how much the budget is. I mean, budget I think was 55, Lauren? God, 65 grand all in all then. Jesus, Lauren.
Tell me now!
It was a wonderful achievement for absolutely amazing. I loved it, and the music was absolutely fantastic. Really beautiful music, and he's going to release like a soundtrack for it. Or is it available? Is all the music available?
No, we've got like a rough soundtrack there, but that's all. We're all open. We want to keep all that sort of stuff in line for distribution.
Yeah.
John's been hoarding the soundtrack. He told me the other day, he was like, I had it on in my car, it was great. I was like, you're the only person in the world who can say that.
Yeah, it's
Bad movie, baby.
Okay, spread the word about the film, keep it alive, keep it moving towards distribution and world domination. And join me in thanking John McPhail,
Oh,